I'm Judy Zelina. This is the Millcreek Government Channel. The Autism Society of Northwestern Pennsylvania exists to improve the quality of life across the lifespan of persons on the autism spectrum and their families in Erie, Crawford, Venango, and Mercer counties through advocacy, education, service, support, and research. Their activities are driven by the needs of their members, and they promote an awareness of autism and other developmental disorders in the community. Joining us on the Government Channel to give us some insight on autism is Tish Bartlett. Tish is the Executive Director of the Autism Society of Northwest Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining us on the program. You've been here before, and it's great to have you back again.
Thank you for bringing me back. It's wonderful.
Well, you always have a lot of new things in the works, new programs, but I think what I'd really like to just get out to our viewers is a little bit of insight and a little bit of telling them what actually the Autism Society of Northwest Pennsylvania is.
Well, Autism Society Northwestern Pennsylvania is a local nonprofit right here in Erie, PA, and we provide support to families and individuals with a diagnosis throughout their lifespan. We do this through our monthly outings, our educational opportunities, our Lego and Friends and Pals Teen Club, referrals, and letting our parents know we're right in the trenches with them, so we're walking the walk with them.
Okay, now, how long have you been with the Autism Society?
8 years.
8 years.
8 years. It's hard to believe.
Like that, right?
Yes, like
in
that.
a heartbeat, and there it is, and it's 8 years. Here's the question you hear from a lot of people. What is autism? We think we know, but
right.
We really don't.
Autism is a neurological disorder,
okay,
which can affect communication, social interaction, socialization. It can, some individuals can have an intellectual disability as well.
Okay, there are some, probably some characteristics that are common or factors to look for. What are some of those characteristics?
Some of it is the insistence on sameness.
Okay.
The individual does not like change, really wants a structured schedule, no surprises. Mm-hmm. Wants that rigid schedule day in, day out. Repeating words or phrases, mimicking maybe some of their favorite TV shows, Disney movies, cartoons. They prefer to be alone. There are times that they're tested for their hearing because they appear to be deaf because they're non-responsive to being called by their name. No real fear of danger, or no. They have a high pain tolerance. We've had individuals that have broken their arm and mom and dad didn't know because they didn't react.
Wow. Okay.
Or they can be hypersensitive to outside stimuli. Noise, lights, sounds, textures. Every little thing, a little paper cut can be debilitating in their world. So there's a whole lot of things, and it's a spectrum because it's so diverse with each individual.
So there are some distinct factors that a parent or a teacher or someone would be observing. Mm-hmm. There is a difference, because we talked a little bit about this, there is a difference between a child that is just a quiet child, shy, a type of an introverted behavior, but not necessarily autistic.
Right. You have to have a multitude of the signs in order to receive that diagnosis. Okay,
now, how do you, is there a test? How do you find out if a child is autistic or on the spectrum?
I mean, it's done by observation. So if the parent,
number one is observation, correct?
Yes. So if the parent suspects that their child is not reaching those childhood milestones at a young age, a toddler's age, not speaking, not communicating, not playing in a typical manner, a lot of repetitive behaviors with the play. We'll use the Matchbox car example, where not driving the cars around and crashing them and making your voom voom sounds, but lining them up in a perfect order, or putting them in a bucket and taking them out of bucket, or just some of the examples. So no typical play, non-responsive to being called by their name, not doing the typical social interaction that a toddler would do, then it's time to have an observation done by a trained professional. Usually a psychologist will do that, and they do have the ADOS, which is an autism diagnosis test, and it's done through observation, answering questions, watching the child interact with specific toys to make that decision.
And tell me, why is early intervention so important?
Well, the earlier the therapies start, the better the outcomes. That's been a proven fact over the years. So we really stress early diagnosis, early intervention. And those interventions can include speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, behavioral therapy. Behavioral modification, teaching those social skills that are coming naturally, as it does for so many.
Now, autism, when I was growing up 100 years ago, I don't really remember the word autism. And I would imagine back then, in those years, things like this were not recognized. So you have some adults that have had a pretty rough road.
Yes.
Because they didn't really know why they were kind of different.
Right, not understanding why they didn't fit in, where they couldn't find their space in school or maybe in employment later in life. And we do have some adults that are being identified now, and it's kind of the light bulb going off of, wow, now I understand why these social situations were such a challenge for me.
Exactly. So that's why, like you said, the earlier the better.
Yes, the earlier the better.
And it just makes transition into every part of growing up a little bit easier.
Yes, because we're a very social society.
Yes,
and
we are.
when you are challenged in that area, it makes life challenging. So let's help them get those skills that don't come naturally, but we can teach them.
Okay. All right, how common is autism?
Autism now affects 1 in 68 individuals. And in that, 1 in 42 boys, 1 in 189 girls. In our area alone, in Erie, Crawford, Mercer, and Venango, we have over 2,000 individuals that were identified with autism. And those figures are a little old now. That was about 2009. They're doing a new assessment to update those numbers.
A phrase we hear is on the spectrum.
Yes.
Okay, what does it mean to be on the spectrum?
Well, we all know a few years ago there was a big overhaul of the DSM-5, and they took out the individualized diagnosis of Asperger's and autism and persuasive developmental disorder. And now it's all under one umbrella called the autism spectrum disorder, or you'll hear it referred to as ASD. And there's different levels. There's three levels they've identified. And what that is autism is so diverse that you're not going to meet 2 individuals diagnosed with the same challenges. So you have individuals that are extremely high functioning, they are borderline genius level, you're savants that are genius in whatever their interest might be, but extremely socially awkward and have a really challenge communicating on an everyday level. And then you have those that are profoundly affected, that will need a lifetime of supports, that will not be able to independently live, take care of their own finances. They're going to need somebody to be a guardian and then help them through adulthood.
Okay, so you're right. I mean, it is diverse.
It is, and it's and there's overwhelming.
There is no one fits all.
No, everybody needs an individualized plan, and you work with your behavioral specialist in order to find out, because some of our kiddos have significant behavioral challenges because of outside stimuli, and you need to identify what is challenging, what is making them react. And then you have others that are just quiet, reserved, but highly intelligent, and you don't realize what's going on in there.
Now, what should I do if I suspect something's wrong with my child? Where do I turn? First off, to have a parent admit that they think something is wrong is very difficult.
It is. It is difficult,
So
but it doesn't have to be.
No, okay, so
Yes.
what should we do?
Well, if you suspect, you can call here in Erie, you can call Erie County Care Management, and you can ask for a referral to have your child evaluated. Depending on your child's age, if they're under 3, you're going to go through an early intervention evaluation. You, of course, can always call the Autism Society. I'd be happy to give numbers, referrals, contacts of how to help you. You can, if you don't want to go through Erie County Care Management, of course, you can go directly to a provider. We have multiple providers that do diagnosing right here in our area.
Okay. Now, my child's been diagnosed. As a parent, how do I deal with this?
I know, it's overwhelming.
It would have to be. And don't you even find some that are in denial?
Oh, yes.
I can imagine
I
that.
was one of those 13 years ago.
Were you?
Yes, it was all of the ideals you had when the baby was born. When you first hear those words that your child has autism, you feel like none of those goals will ever happen. And that's not true.
Which is wonderful to know, because actually you are proof here.
Yes, I am a parent. I have a 13-year-old with autism, and I'll be honest, and I understand it is very hard to digest when you first hear those words, and you do feel alone and isolated, but you don't have to feel alone and isolated. We have an amazing support community right here in our town, and I have met some of the best people, moms, dads, professional staff, since I joined the Autism Society. And there's help, and there's resources, and there are so many different therapy opportunities right here in Erie that you don't even have to leave your own town.
Well, now I'd like to segue, just on that, I'd like to segue right into the different programs and services you provide. What are some of the services? Because the programs, you've got some great, awesome programs going on, I got to tell you. What services? If I would call the society, what do you have in place that would
Well, number
able to
one
help
is
me?
we're a family support organization.
All right,
So
okay.
we're going to be there to give you referrals if you're looking for summer programming, or you're looking for different therapies, whether
Okay.
that's occupational or we even have horse therapy here, or adaptive sports. We're going to give you those resources and the contacts. We're like that one-stop shop. You don't have to call multiple people. We'll give you the list. We also mentor. We have our family sensory and social opportunities. Every month, we bring our families out into the community in a comfortable environment, hopefully sensory friendly. We do make every effort to make it sensory friendly. And your best support system is your fellow parent. And so we bring our parents together to help them and to mentor one another.
And I think that would be probably the most beneficial, because as you stated, you feel like you are alone.
Yes, and you don't
Like this has never happened to anybody else in the whole world except me now, and now what do I do?
Right. And so we bring our families together so they don't ever have to feel alone.
That is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. And then we have our programs where
Okay.
we have started, because there's been a lot of research that the practicing of the socialization, social interaction, teaching those unwritten social skills, practicing your communication, verbal and nonverbal, are going to benefit our individuals as they transition out of that structured school setting into adulthood, whether that be post-secondary education, trade school, or employment.
Okay.
So we've started with, of course, our monthly sensory and social that I've mentioned.
And
we
that's
also-
once a month?
That's once a month,
You meet-
yes, out in the
okay.
community. Some of the examples is we're going on the Scallywags Pirate Cruise on June 4th.
Oh my gosh, how fun.
Yes, and we make it sensory friendly. They have an upper deck, and they work really well with us, where the upper deck is water free and pirate free.
Okay.
So if you need to get away, you can go up there. Otherwise, the rest of the boat, there's water canyons, there's pirates, there's adventures, and this is our second year. Last year was a huge success. All the giggling and the smiles were just
So heartwarming. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's one of the examples. And then we do other things such as a family picnic, and we just went to Claytopia that works on your fine motor skills.
Okay.
So everything kind of has a basis of why we're doing it, that the appropriate community behavior, communication, fine gross motor skill activities, socialization, and building friendships, because that's very important.
How do you get some of these ideas, like Claytopia? Do they parental input?
Yeah, we ask our parents what they're interested in. And we also have a committee. We have a recreation and family support committee.
Okay.
And they're all moms and dads, with dads on there too. And so they give us input of, you know.
They throw ideas out at you and say, we were here and this worked well for my son. You know, we were there, so maybe you might want to do this as a group.
Yeah, yeah. Or a lot of times it's a first time because our parents are hesitant to go out into the community and try new activities. So we'll pave the way. They come out, they have a wonderful time, and now as a family they're able to repeat that activity outside of our group. So.
Okay. Now you have a club or a group that works with Legos, right?
We do.
Tell me about that, because I don't care how old you are, Em and I still love Legos.
Yes,
I remember my kids, we had, the whole basement was filled
Legos.
with
They're wonderful
plywood.
during the day, and then they turn into violent at night.
We've all stepped on them.
You don't want to step on them at night.
No.
3 years ago, I had the vision that I really wanted to start a Lego club. There's been a lot of research and articles about the benefits of building with Legos and individuals with autism, because usually it's a common, preferred activity, we call it.
Okay.
So when they come and do a preferred activity, that's a great time to instill the communication and social skills. They don't know that's happening, so keep that a secret. So I teamed up with Auto Racers for Kids, which is a local charity.
All right.
They fund our Lego club, hence the name Auto Racers for Kids Lego Social Club. We have a fall session and a spring session. They meet once a month on a Saturday morning. And it's been so successful. We had 58 kiddos, kindergarten through 8th grade, this past spring, that in the fall we're expanding it to 10th grade.
Wow.
Some of our 8th graders are not ready to leave. So we are going to expand it. So it's going to be kindergarten through 10th grade.
Okay.
We do have the younger kiddos and the older kiddos divided into 2 different areas, because that is a big age span.
Right.
And they come and we start with free Lego play. They can use a little Lego kit, or they can free build, which I'm here to tell you, we have some very talented individuals in this town that are going to be Lego master builders one day. I can't build a block. They're building
Wow.
just with no instructions, just out of their mind, very creative. And they're working on sharing. They're working on peer-to-peer relationships, their communication, verbal and nonverbal. Their socialization, the appropriate socialization, following the rules of Lego Club, the structured schedule. That, after we started, we added a component that we weren't sure how well it was going to go, but it's been a huge success, to give our individuals an opportunity to build something that they like at home, bring it in, and present. So they're learning how to speak to a group. They're learning how to explain what they've built, why they've built it. And the other kiddos sit and have to listen, so you got to learn to patience, which we all need some of that. And then they get to ask questions about the build, but they have to stay on topic.
Okay.
Which you work with individuals with autism. Sometimes it's hard to stay on the topics. They like to be on their preferred topics. So we're working on that, and I was really surprised. We had to limit it to 4 presenters a club because
They all wanted to present.
they all wanted to do it. We didn't, because we said it won't be forced, but it turned out
What a bonus, what a plus, all the benefits that they're getting as they're just enjoying what they're doing.
Yes.
Too. I mean, that's the bottom
and the smiles
line.
on their face when they get to present what they've built at home is just, it's amazing.
What are some of the other programs that you have going here?
This past year, as our Lego clubbers were getting older, we realized that we needed some additional socialization. So we started a Friends and Pals Teen Club, and that is for age 13 to 21, which basically covers middle school through high school.
Right.
So they have 2 components to their teen club. During the school year, we meet on a Thursday evening once a month, and that's called our teen gatherings. And they come in and they're having dinner, because they're learning that appropriate, kind of like eating in a restaurant. idea.
Okay.
One time we did a hot dog hut one time, and the facilitators were the waiters and waitresses, and the kids ordered off a menu. They loved that.
Wow.
They really enjoyed telling us what they wanted. So we always do dinner, so we're learning, appropriate restaurant skills. And then we do a lesson, an interactive lesson, a lot of modeling, practicing, role playing, and they're all the unwritten social skills that you need later and throughout your lifespan of appropriate communication, boundaries, and especially in the workforce, if appropriate to touch someone on the shoulder type thing. We've talked about good and bad friends, bullying, items like that. So every month there's a topic. Then another component is we get them out in the community. We do activities specifically just for teens because they don't always want to be with mom and dad and the younger ones. So we do things like putt-putt, and we volunteered at the Second Harvest Food Bank, and they had a blast.
I bet they did.
They reorganized, though, I will tell you. They decided that it had to be structured a certain way to pack the boxes, and it was very efficient. I was impressed.
Bring them to my house. You've got some really great programs, and I would, we just can't get into them all, but I would advise anybody to go into their website, and this way they can check and see if there's something that they think they might be interested in participating in. But another thing I wanted to talk to you about is your funding. How are you funded?
We are 100% fundraising dollars.
I did not realize that.
Yes, 100%. We have our signature walk, the annual Walk for Autism, every April. We just had that this past April. That is majority of our funding in order to meet the needs of our families. And then we depend on what we call third-party fundraisers, is individuals in the community that step forward and want to host an event for us. One of our partners for that is AXA Advisors, a financial group, and they host a golf tournament in September. It's going to be on September 9th, and 100% of the proceeds from that tournament and the extras, they do auctions, benefit the Autism Society.
So, but your annual fundraiser is the walk.
Is the walk.
And then throughout different years, you may be having different fundraisers.
Yes, we're going to have a purse bingo this year. We were the beneficiary of the Share the Love Subaru campaign. One year. So different activities. We're forever grateful for every donation that comes in the door, whether it's $5 or $5,000, $10,000. We always every dollar does count in our budget.
Tish, you provide so much for our community, your organization, and how can we help you?
Well, to support us. If you're thinking about, with Erie Gives coming up in August, if you're thinking about making a donation, the Autism Society is a part of Erie Gives. So, the donation to us can go a long way.
What about volunteers?
100% volunteer organization. So yes, we always need volunteers. We love our volunteers. An example is our walk utilizes 130 volunteers.
Seriously? Oh my goodness.
And we are very blessed. Everybody wants to volunteer at the walk, which I am overwhelmed and just set back that people give their time so freely. It's just amazing. But at our monthly events, we always need help. We have our summer picnic in July, so we'll need help with setup and registration and different activities like that. So
no matter what your skills are or your talents, you're going to find a place for me.
Yes. And the one thing I always say is, you don't have to be, if you're a little hesitant because you don't have experience, so you don't want to work directly with the kiddos, that's okay. Because we have administrative tasks that can be done, and even at our events, we have check-in, setup, cleanup, working a certain station, whether that's the food station or a craft station. So multiple talents are needed.
So if you are thinking of volunteering, Tish is going to find a place for you. I can guarantee that.
We will.
Tish, our time is coming to an end. I do want to remind our viewers about your website and Facebook. You're on Facebook, and that keeps people current with any other any events coming up.
Yes, we keep our website updated with all our events, resources for our families, supports, and then our website or our Facebook page is always updated. And to say really quick that we are very excited, our Autism in the Community event, it's our conference, will be on October 21st, and we are bringing in Dr. Jed Baker this year. And he's he's our keynote on managing anxiety and managing anxiety, frustration, and teaching social skills. So that's going to be a wonderful conference.
And would that be open to the public?
It's open to the public.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, viewers, keep an eye out for any more information on the conference.
Yes.
And also, if there's anything you need a little bit more information on, feel free to give Tish a call. And the phone number they can reach you at?
814-455-3540.
Tish, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us on the program. You always have the greatest programs. Love the Lego thing.
Yes.
Viewers, again, give them a call, check out the website, follow them on Facebook. There's tons of ways you can find information and also how you can help them. Viewers, thank you for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel, and until next time, have a wonderful day.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.